Okay, so FTSE chart review. It's 8 o'clock in the evening on the 11th of December. So on a Sunday night, obviously we don't know how the market's going to open. So what I do is I look just at some key levels, remind myself of the channels, low frame resistance, high frame support, and just remind myself of what price action did into close and what patterns we've got essentially. So they're kind of in my brain for the morning. So if we look at the 15-minute chart, so we held the bear channel, and through from Wednesday, essentially, some great entries out of 15-minute resistance, obviously using the low frames for entry, newly formed, because this would have been a 1 and 5 minute bull channel into a 15-minute bear channel. So you wait for newly formed 1 and 5 minute bear channels within the 15-minute bear channel. So some excellent entries there. We spoke about that on the phone last week, actually, that entry. So if this remains as resistance, same play. You can take shorts using the lower frames as entry. You've got some good structure for stop loss. But I would be using the low frames to enter. Same story really. Price would have to go back up, create a bull channel into the 15-minute support. Sorry, into the 15-minute resistance markers. Wait for price to roll the ones over. Okay. Better still, maybe taking divergence in the 15-minute resistance. Better still, softening fives for even safer entries. Wait for the fives to create a bear channel in the 15-minute resistance area. Okay, and therefore you'd have something like this, yeah, coming out of 15-minute resistance. Okay, and you can take the shorts off of the low frame res channels. Okay, and keep good structure. It's a great way to trade if you're trading with a stop loss, because essentially the structure is above the lines. All right, this was ranging on Friday, so it could have pushed through. Everything was quite flat, so obviously stop loss above the highs. But that's another story. That there is absolutely setups, especially if you're coming off of the 15-minute channel, to keep it safe and keep the stop losses above the structure. Okay, so what I'm looking at is, will the hour chart see the bull channel is aggressive in terms of support and the 200 pointing up? We do have, okay, the cross, we do have resistance. However, the 200 still hasn't turned to show that it's going to be a continuation and an aggressive resistance area in terms of a decent trend change over days, possibly weeks. So we need to just keep an eye on any upside and how momentum reacts to 1 hour resistance. If price is picked up by the 15-minute chart and that creates some support, it will run into 1 hour resistance. You've got 1 hour resistance at 883. Yeah, so it actually corresponds here. So the price needs to, you can see how it responds to the 15-minute resistance and indeed the 1 hour. And the way to do that is to dial down, because you'd have newly formed support on the 1 minute and the 5-minute chart, and then look at momentum running into resistance to continually short your resistance markers. All right, again, we can look at all that tomorrow. More importantly, let's just look at because what I do is look at patterns and try and make myself aware of what can happen and what I may do around them. And it's quite key to look at the daily and the 4 hour, because we've broken down these support markers, okay, around the 90, 85, 90 area, which was the 20 MA on the daily and the 100 MA on the 4 hour. So because that 1 hour channel and 15-minute channel have been pushing price, they're newly formed, they need to be newly formed or formed to create resistance, to give price the power to look into deeper into 4 hour support, and we certainly have done that. So then I say to myself, right, just in case, let's look at all eventualities, you know, 370, 375 could be a support marker into some of these inflection points, and to pick up the next marker on the 4-hour chart. Okay, obviously the caveat, what needs to confirm is that the 15-minute and certainly the 1 hour needs to remain as resistance to keep pushing this price deeper. But it wouldn't be, you wouldn't need too much imagination to imagine this area coming back into play if price did want to hold res, and picking up the 50 MA on the daily in and around that 38385 area. Yeah, because the 50 has to come back into play at some point. Okay, it would either consolidate and wait for it to catch up, or you might have a kiss and a meet in the middle, which would align with this 4-hour marker. Okay, again, not saying it's going to happen, but I'm keeping aware of that, because what I do is just try and get a jump on patterns, and what I would do is look at momentum running into a key support area. So if we did get a kiss of key 4-hour support, or indeed a meet tomorrow, next day, during the week at some point, a meet of the 50 MA on the daily, then look at momentum and divergence into support areas. Yeah, because we could picture the 50 MA crossing, creating a daily support situation, and that would be the point where it could potentially pick itself up and look for a higher high. All right, but again, might not happen. I just look at different patterns and make myself aware of different possibilities. All right, so conversely, if we do open bullish and we have a bullish Monday, what will happen is that we'll have newly formed 1-minute support channels. The 5s will pick up the price too, and in turn, fairly quickly, would you then, because this is quite close together, pick up the 15-minute support. Okay, and because this 1-hour chart isn't aggressive yet, okay, if price did break through these markers, right, you might start looking back to the 515, 520 area as first resistance. Second, that would be tested on the 1-hour chart. You'd be looking at around the 540 area. So again, I'll be looking at momentum into those resistance markers. 4-hour chart, let's just look at that one more time. Let's just look at these oscillators. Oh, goodness me. Yeah, I mean, if that turned over and we did break some res and the low frames picked up a support, I would still love a retest of the high or a higher high, because I still reckon that if it did, the MACD would turn and probably roll around there on a higher high, which would set me up a 4-hour divergence zone. Obviously, you don't just hit those because you don't know how deep they can run. The low frames will give you entries, but again, we can look at that throughout the week. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. Just some key levels potentially for some downside, and then keeping an eye on some of the resistance markers if indeed price picks up some support on the open tomorrow. We'll do more tomorrow, and good luck everybody for the week.